Boom, boom, boom. Welcome to Franchise Mode. I know we had a little bit of a week off, everyone. I'm sorry. I was in Miami at Roll Loud. Follow our TikTok at Malk and Ron Network to see the videos. Very lit time. But today I'm bringing you all another banger. I got a friend from the Midwest coming on. Talk about his team, some analytics, and some journalism. Please stay tuned to see who that special guest is. Out. Okay, I told you I have a very special guest. I have my friend Jordan Foote. He is an editor-in-chief of the Inside the Royals. He also works with the Arrowhead Report, which are both Sports Illustrated entities. And then he also has the Crashing the Boards podcast. They've been doing some fire Twitter content too, breaking down a lot of different players. So, how you doing, Jordan?
Good, man. Happy to be back on and chatting with you, man. It's been a minute. We usually chat a couple times a year on a podcast or on a show. Text fairly often. So, man, it's good to be back. Good to chat with you, dude.
Yeah, Jordan's anytime anything AFC West or anything comes up, I'm texting him like, man, is this real? Should I take this seriously? Like, I don't have like the insight for like the Midwest stuff. So usually I'm on the coast. So Jordan's definitely my guy. So I definitely appreciate you for coming on.
Yeah, for sure, man.
Okay, now for our first segment today, we're gonna get straight into the Chiefs. So I want to start just bold and out there immediately. Do you think the Chiefs actually win the AFC West this year?
Man, if they do, it's not going to be the way they have before. Where even last year, like, it was fairly close. Like, the Chargers gave them some trouble.
Yeah.
Even the Raiders have given them some trouble. Like, in games in the past, Denver, they're going to be competitive with Russell Wilson. So I think it comes down to a tiebreaker. I think the Chiefs go 11-6. I think the Chargers go 11-6. And it comes down to whoever had the tiebreaker out of those two. So if the Chargers win both, they're going to come away with it. So I'm buying into them. I buy into Denver being better, but not like quite division champs better.
Yes.
The Raiders offensive line is just so bad that, like, Derek Carr, if it was Herbert or Mahomes at quarterback, obviously those are two different tiers of quarterback than Derek Carr. But Carr's kind of a spaz, man. Like, I hate to use that word, but if you get pressure on him, he's not going to do very well. I don't care that they have Devontae Adams. They're going to be better, but again, not division champs. So all four of those teams are probably playoff caliber, if not three of them. So I'll lean that the Chiefs win it just because they've been able to take care of business more than the Chargers have in the past, but I don't feel very confident in it. So I'll go like 52% yes, but there's like 48% it's like, man, there's some really good teams in that division.
Yeah, I remember hitting you on the Chargers up early. I was like, this team just looks like they're just keep improving. Yeah. They were also was like, wait, maybe they're the Eagles of that division. Where it's like they keep improving, but some just never clicks. And it's like that Chargers or possibly the Eagles this year, who I think are going to be really good as well. But it's like, I don't know, are they going to be able to overtake who's been, I guess, quote unquote, running the division for a while? So I think the Chargers probably get it done. But like, as a person that's a betting man as well, like, are you willing to bet money on that? Probably not, because the Chargers have the injury history. You have Derwin James, love him. The injury history is there. Joey Bosa, the injury history is there. They signed Khalil Mack, who's going to help their run defense and everything. But again, the injury history is there. So that's the tough spot. And it's like Andy Reid, Mahomes, like kind of like the other stuff matters maybe for like Super Bowl aspirations, but like inside of the division and making the playoffs, I think that probably gets it done. Or at least, like you said, gets them to at least a minimum 11 wins.
Yeah, and even if it's 10, like, they're going to be a wild card team. Like that, I have very little doubt that the Chiefs are going to miss the playoffs. But like last year, if you would have asked me, I probably even did say like the Chiefs are going to win the division. They're probably going to get to the AFC Championship. I was like that confident in that. Now, like, the AFC just got so much better. The AFC West got better, so they could still win the division. But they're relying on a lot of rookies. They're relying on a lot of new pieces. Mahomes is great. Don't get me wrong. Andy Reid's great. Don't get me wrong. But it's going to be tough. So I definitely wouldn't place any money on any of those teams just because they're all so good.
Yeah. So, okay, with that, staying with the same question though, with the wide receiver core, is that overstated? I saw Justin Ross went on IR. He was undrafted anyway. Yeah. But besides that, overall, do you think that's kind of being overstated? And I mean, we're not even gonna get into the pumping of Tua, who is so, that's a different animal. But I know, what do you think about the receiver core?
Yeah, man, there's no replacing Tyreek Hill, obviously. McCole Hardman can do some of the stuff that he can do. Obviously, not going to be the same. He could be like 70% maybe of Tyreek Hill, and that's still a pretty decent player.
Yeah.
But people have been waiting on Hardman to break out for 3 years, and he hasn't done it yet. So he's going to be a little bit better just because he gets more targets and more snaps, I guess, in a bigger role. But top to bottom, the Chiefs receiving group is pretty deep this year compared to last year. You had Hill, you had Hardman. Who else did you have? Like Pringle was inconsistent, Robinson was bad, Josh Gordon was trying to learn on the fly. They just didn't have depth. Now they have Sky Moore, now they have Juju, they have MVS, they have Hardman. Gordon's coming into his second year with the Chiefs. Like, I think the receiving core itself is going to be fine. I don't know if there's going to be 1,000-yard guy from that. I think they could have a couple 900-yard guys and like a 750 or an 8. Kelsey's going to be the number one target. So like, I'm kind of in the middle. Like, the people who think they're going to be just fine and the receiving core is going to be great, I don't think that's true. But also the people that think the sky is falling because Tyreek Hill's gone, I don't really buy into that either. So I'm kind of in the middle.
Yeah, and I don't know. I feel like it's just been overstated a little bit. Now, we know how good Tyreek Hill is. He has an argument to be the best receiver in the league. But like you said, outside of him, it wasn't too many other guys. The receiver core is deeper now. Juju's still young. Sky Moore, I'm pretty sure everyone's like draft nugget darling. He's young. Like MVS isn't that old either. We saw Rodgers. That was Rodgers' guy, like deep throughout all of his years with Green Bay. Mahomes could do similar stuff. It's gonna be interesting to see, like, our defense is still gonna play a lot of cover too. If they back off, like, they still have guys that can go deep. Now it's gonna be interesting because I think me and you both can probably agree that Hardman's probably been better on Madden than he probably has been in real life. Like, he's like
way better on Madden.
Like on Madden,
like, he's just he's just okay in real life, but in Madden, man, you get that dude 97 speed, he's gone.
So it's like everyone's like, oh man, I used to Hardman on Madden, he's good, but like overall in real life, you need more. It's more intricacies and getting open deep. Just I'm fast guy. John Ross should be everyone's like go-to look at something like that. But okay. Now we have a little bit of drama with the Orlando Brown situation. What is going on with the contract? He wants to be the highest paid left tackle at least.
Yeah, and I hate to say it, he's like a top 12 offensive tackle. Like he came over in the trade. I don't blame him. Like, I don't think there's a bad guy here, and a lot of people always want there to be a bad guy in sports, a bad guy with contracts, a bad guy with tackles, really just superstar or even big name athletes. And he's a big name athlete, whether he's a star or not. People are mad. The Chiefs really didn't give him the deal that he wanted. They gave him the total amount that he wanted. They gave him a huge signing bonus, but the last year was worth like $45 million. He was never going to get to that last year. No. So it was really a 5-year, like $90 million deal. He's probably better than 18 million a year, not by a ton, but by a little bit. So them guaranteeing 2 years, they kind of stiffed him in terms of the structure of the contract. So I get why he said no. At the same time, he's not going to be better than Trent Williams or David Bakhtiari.
Oh no.
Maybe even Colton Miller. Like, he's not going to be in that class. So part of that is just the market. Like, even with quarterbacks, you pay the Kirk Cousins of the world a lot of money because they're good and you can get by with that because it's a premium position, but you don't like hamstring yourself because you gave your left tackle, who is just solid or good instead of elite or great, $25 million a year. So like, he's going to get a better offer if he plays well this season. He isn't showing up at training camp yet, which I don't really understand because he's not getting anything out of that besides not practicing in the heat and risking injuries. Like, I kind of get it, but at the same time, it almost seems like he realized he's too far in, and to like hire an agent that had never done an NFL deal to do this contract, like,
deal is insane.
Yeah. He's had a bold offseason and it just keeps on going. So the Chiefs could tag him back-to-back years and only give him $37 million or whatever. And that's market value for a guy like him. The Chiefs have all the leverage in the world, and they kind of said, hey, dude, take this deal or leave it. He didn't like it. So there's a little bit of drama. I don't think it's quite as bad as people think. The Chiefs just seem to get overstated because they're like a good team, obviously.
Yeah.
And when Patrick Mahomes got signed, people said, oh my God, $500 million for a quarterback, blah, blah, blah. Now he's like the 5th highest paid already. And you're
Like
like, man,
Haaland's
it's
just
really not
has
that big of a
more
deal.
highest
Yeah.
average. Like,
Yeah. So it's just a matter of who's the most recently paid. Now, Brown's not worth it. We'll see next offseason what happens.
I think it just sucks, like you said, though. He's probably going to end up the worst tackle. Well, he's better than the Broncos tackle. He's probably better than Bulls. But besides that, like, it's like, is he going to be better than probably Miller? And I don't think he ever gets Slater. I just don't see that.
No.
I just
No
can't
way.
see that personally. That's what makes it tough. I think he's a good player, like you said, but he wants to be playing like an elite player, and that's like,
And it's iffy.
it's tough. It's tough. Like the Cowboys have had a lot of that throughout the last 20 plus years.
Yeah.
Like good players, not really elite, but you give them the bag. We have from the Jalen Smiths to even Ezekiel Elliott's. Like we knew he was elite, but you saw the decline. Like it happens. So that's and that's what tanks a dynasty. Not necessarily losing the Tyreek Hill or the quote unquote flashy piece. It's the bad contract,
and
it'll
doom you.
Yeah, and it's like like even because it maybe wouldn't even be as bad if you thought he'd play every game for the contract.
Yeah,
but that's probably like with the weight concerns. Like that's also why I understand him showing up. It's like if Zion didn't show up to camp, it's like wait a minute, you kind of like you can't do this like everyone else. You can't be
and like. He set up everything by saying throughout the offseason he had lost like 15 or 20 pounds and is keeping it off. Like, keep that going and show up to camp and prove that you were that guy. I don't fully understand why he isn't there. And maybe he shows up for the preseason and is like in shape, ready to go. But he's also missing out on new installs. And you know the Chiefs offense, man, they do some wild stuff. So even though he was there last year, he's missing out on whatever's new too. So he's playing a bold game, man. I don't know if it's going to pay off.
Yeah, he really scares me because it's like another team like a Jaguars, team like that's going to just bite the bullet if he ends up in free agency. But it's like I just don't see it end up being a good long-term deal. But I don't want to just kill under Brown. He does have the pedigree. But it's like I just hate when people's pre-draft determinations, you prove them like somewhat like correct, like the personality stuff and the wage stuff. Like you don't want to believe those things about a player, but then everyone always says when that moment comes, the real savage comes out, and it's like, dang, like I didn't want to have to see this side of the business. But at the end of the day, like you say, it's really no bad guy. You can't be mad at him for chasing the bag if he thinks he can get that money. And also, I think he's just petty over what's his name, Ronnie Stanley. Which is I get it but Stanley also has injury concerns too, and Baltimore kind of has been biting that bullet for the last 2 years as well. You know, he's a great player, so that's been a tough one. Okay, now last with the Chiefs, we got the Honey Badger situation. First, I guess just going maybe how you feel about his last season there, and then how you feel about him leaving and / the Eric Reid replacement.
They didn't even offer him a contract.
Yeah,
he didn't even get an offer. Like they
Nothing.
claimed that they like talked to him and stuff, but like I feel like that conversation was, hey Tyron, like thank you for getting us the Super Bowl. Thank you for your culture change. Like, dude, he was instrumental. Like he might have been the best free agent signing in franchise history. Like his peak with the Chiefs was absolutely huge. He changed that whole defense around. But last season, he just wasn't the same. He was getting banged up. He wasn't tackling. He wasn't showing all the effort. The leadership was a little bit questionable. Like it seemed like he was rubbing off the wrong way on people, media, fans, not necessarily teammates, but I mean maybe teammates. So a part of that could be he knew he wasn't getting a contract offer and he didn't want to get hurt. I totally understand it, but like I think it was time for him to move on. It was time for the Chiefs to move on. They made it clear. They got a guy in Justin Reed who I don't think he's going to be quite the player Matthew was like in that first season in Kansas City or the second season or whatever, but he has the same leadership qualities. I mean, listening to him speak at training camp, he has a lot of the versatility that Matthew had. So it was interesting. I feel for the guy. I mean, he's a franchise legend for the Chiefs, but at the same time, they made their mind up and he didn't really do himself a ton of favors in the offseason. I thought he'd get like 3 years, like 50, 55, 60 million. Like he'd get a really, really big deal. Then I think he got like 3 for 40 or something. Like he really didn't cash out like I thought he would.
The Saints, which is also just another head scratcher slightly. Not that he's not from there, I get that situation, but I was like, oh, okay. Like I'm actually surprised because since he waited so long, I thought he was going to get nothing. Like
I did too. Yeah.
I'm like, the Saints kind of I haven't like looked at the details. Like, is he gonna play that deal out? But it'd be interesting because I feel like he'd have any other options. I didn't see any out there. I mean, it seemed like he's a 1-year deal.
He's 30. Like, I hate to be that guy, but for a small dude who kind of relies on that, he's still super smart. Like, don't get me wrong, he's going to be a good player, but like,
the way he hit,
yeah, when he was actually,
So, that's the scary part with the Honey Badger. It's like, but he's just such like a fan favorite, personality, got the nickname. You said free safety, strong safety, slack corner.
It's a perfect two-year player. You get him in, you transfer some things, then you kind of let him go.
Yeah, and it's like the personality and the leadership. He has all those type of traits, and then it comes down like, okay, the body's wearing down. Since LSU, the injuries kind of been piling up on a small frame. The tackling used to be like really good. He's probably one of the best, like undersized, like a typical Pop Warner leg wrap corner. Like he was doing that for years, but that's banging your shoulder and your knees out. So it's like that's what sucks about the Honey Badger. Now he is home. They also got Marcus May, if I'm not mistaken, with the Saints. So that should be a little. I don't know why they let go of Marcus Williams and then run these guys instead of just signing your guy that was younger and probably better than both. But it seems like he has another tandem. So it should be interesting with the Justin Reed thing. He's young. Like you say, he's shown leadership quality. He was in a terrible situation before that. So it can't be that bad. It'll only get better. He has the traits, the size. He has a little bit more size too. I think it should be interesting.
Yeah. No, I'm with you, man. It was a weird offseason for a lot of teams. But we'll see what happens. I mean, hindsight's going to be 2020. So